Good morning, good morning. It is Friday today, and so that means it is time for a Peacecraft Love Facebook Friday Live. So welcome, and I hope that you enjoy this overview today. We're going to talk about Distress Spray Stain. Don't know why my throat's being weird. And play with that, make some backgrounds, make some card backs, hopefully. Maybe make some tags. Who knows what we're going to make today, but we're going to use the spray stain, and we might mix in a few oxides because, as it turns out, I don't have as many spray stains as I thought I did, but that's okay. So, yeah, so I've got some, so Distress Spray Stain. There's two different kinds, right? There's stain and there's oxide spray, okay? So those are two different things. And the oxide sprays react with water. So we'll play with those another time on a different video, but they're fun. I might mix a couple in today just for fun because it creates an interesting effect when they hit the normal spray. The other sprays we have are the Distress Spray Stain. Now, in your ink pads, you also have a Distress Oxide and you have a Distress Ink, right? So, let me grab one of those. Okay, so you have the normal Distress Ink and Distress Oxide. The same thing is true for these as well. It's the same kind of ink. It's just in an ink pad form. So this is an oxide. It will react to water, and it's a little bit, I want to say, these tend to be a little more muted color. The Distress Ink is pure color, and it's in a ink pad form. It can react to water. It's water-based, and it will react a little bit, but it is not the same as what oxide will do. Oxide will purposefully have a more mottled look if you add water to it, which is what the background shows here. It gets lighter, versus Distress will not do that as much. Okay, so the spray, the purpose of the spray is to have a more pigmented version of the inks that come in the pad. A lot of times you'll see people who will take their ink pad and they'll smush it out on their craft mat and they'll add some water and they'll use that for watercolor or something like that. But when you spray, when you can use the spray, you're using a pure form of the ink and you're not watering it down until you add water later. So that's the point of the spray stain, is that you're going to get a more pure color. I have a lot of different colors here. Turns out I don't have like any coordinating colors really. I have Kitsch Flamingo, the new stuff, Rustic Wilderness, Salvage Patina. Wild Honey is one of my favorites. I really like this color. It adds a really interesting golden color to effect. I actually have these guys. These are what the stain looked like before they put it in a bottle. And I just went into my store yesterday and found out that I have a lot of these that I acquired when I became the owner of this store. We had a lot of these stains in a dabber bottle, okay? Whoops, keep dropping it. The dabber looks like this. But you can take the dabber off and use it. You can pour it in a bottle. You can dab it as is intended. It's not going to hurt anything. And the ink isn't going to go bad. I mean, this is older, but it's not going to go bad because it's liquid. And I mean, the worst that might happen is the dabber gets a little bit yucky, but you can take that off and change it out. I actually used this one the other day, which is Antique Bronze. And I mean, this is a metallic, so you have to shake it up. But I took the lid off and I poured some out and I used it in one of my iCads, and it came out pretty cool. So see, it just worked really well for what I needed it to be. So, so that's a little bit about stain, and I think it's just kind of fun. We're just going to play and see what kind of backgrounds we can get. I mean, of course, Father's Day is coming up on Sunday, and I like to do things at the very last minute. So I will probably make something to do with a Father's Day card. I have some Distress watercolor cardstock. And this one is Distress heavy stock, which is this one in 8.5 by 11 sheets. So it is, I'm going to make a big background and then we can cut it down to a smaller size. All right. Or I might use this as a background when I spray it. I don't know. I also have some Dina Wakley tags that are this size. They're kind of fun that they're small like this. So we might play with those in a little bit too. All right. So really the idea behind this is that you can use all these different fun sprays to make different designs. I used these when I was doing some backgrounds on my index cards. I was using the oxides. So this is kind of what your oxide will give you. But I only had this, I only had the yellow, the wild honey, and the stain. So I mixed the oxides and the regular colors. Now let me tell you, or in the spray stain. Let me give you a little bit of something really quick here. When we talk about colors, I wanted to mention that here's a little color wheel, okay? Now look at this color wheel. When you're gonna spray colors, like I wouldn't spray a pink with a green because those are opposite and they're just gonna be a really weird combination. If they mix together, they're gonna get kind of muddy. If I was gonna pull colors, I'm gonna mix like the cool colors, which are these greens, blues, and purples, or the warm colors, which are the yellows, oranges, and the reds, okay? So this is not exactly the best example of a color wheel, but it'll give you an idea. Like, to me, the cool colors are purple, greens, and blues, and the warms are the reds, oranges, and yellows, like a fire, okay? Cools are like the blues in the water. So when you're throwing some color on the page, and I don't have a wide variety here, you can see I have like 2 pinks. I thought I had some purples. I think I just have, yeah, the only purples I have are oxides, because when I did my purpling, when I was buying my purples for myself, I only bought the oxides for some reason. I wanted to learn how to use those. So, yeah, I'm going to need to add a little bit to my inventory, or my personal stash here. So we're just gonna spray. I have no clue how this is gonna turn out. I'm just playing. Another tip when you're using sprays is to have a towel nearby so that right after you spray, you can just wipe the top of it off and then put the lid back on. So that was Rustic Wilderness, which is a nice dark one. You don't actually have to shake the sprays, the Distress stain up. There's nothing in there that's really going to settle, so there's really no reason to shake it. You do want to shake the oxides. They have a little ball in there, and you're supposed to shake them left to right instead of up and down, because that can mess up the sprayer if you shake it up and down. Okay, this one is Lucky Clover. I think it's a lot lighter. A lot of people don't like spray because they feel like it's very messy and you can't really control it, and that's absolutely true. But it's kind of fun sometimes. Sometimes you just have to let your inner kindergartner out and not worry about being messy, right? You just make sure you have some paper underneath your table, underneath the project you're working on. Make sure that you have clothes on that you don't mind getting a little bit messy. And you know what? You can put on an apron. You can, these are washable. This is water-based paint, so it's not ink, so it's not really gonna, I don't know why I'm shaking it. So it's not necessarily going to do anything. So this one is a little bit of Salvage Patina. I always like to mix the blues and the greens. I'm a very big on blue and green kind of person, so that is all my thing. Okay. So there's some blues and some greens, and we've got some really pretty modeling effect going on. Now my paper is not, you know, it doesn't really like, it curls a little bit even though it's heavy stock. That's okay. You can see how we have the very dark pigment here. Now what we can do too, even though we already have a lot of water on here, is we can go back with some water. Where's my little bottle? My spray bottle. And then, oh, I took it out to the living room. You can actually spray your Distress, right? This is just stain, so it's not going to have the same effect as oxide. But we can spray it, and it will make a very interesting, and it will mix the colors a little bit more. Okay. Maybe you can go back with, because there's so much ink here, with your, one of these, right? This is watercolor paper, so on one side it's a little bit mottled, on the other side it's smooth. It doesn't say what weight this is. You know, normally I would look for like the weight. I would say it's probably close to 140. It doesn't, I can't say for sure, but you know, it's probably close. So here's kind of what I like to do sometimes. I think it's really fun because the ink, it will just pool and make you get some really fun, interesting effects here. And it also makes an interesting effect on the paper, right? So that can create a nice background. And my theory, my philosophy is more is more, so always do more. That's what how I approach things. More is more, so always do more. I like the smooth side. So there's a lot going on here. You can just have kind of a, it's always good to remember that if you're doing a card, you don't have to do the entire background, and I always kind of forget that. It kind of gives a nice watercolor look. And if it looks like you still have more color, you can always take another piece. Actually, what I want to do is just keep going with some tags. You can always take another piece of paper and so be on the lookout, because in July we might be doing a tag challenge. Sorry for the rustly paper. We may very well be doing a tag challenge because I like tags, and we have a lot of tags in the store, and I like to sell tags. So tags are fun. They're easy. They're kind of like index cards. You can just do something really quick with them and get a really interesting effect. Okay. All right, cool. So there's that kind of thing. What if we wanted to do a little bit of, add some black? Now this Distress, this is hickory smoke. Oh, that would explain. I thought it was black soot. That would explain why the other day when I sprayed it, it wasn't very dark. Okay, so this is hickory smoke, which means it's not going to be a dark black. It's a gray. But that's fine. I thought the other day I was spraying black, and I was like, why is it not very black? But if you go back and you can add just a little bit of splatter or just a little bit of effect, you know, it adds kind of a neat effect. Of course, I have to put it on everything. If you do it to one, you should do it to everything else. That's what my philosophy is. Here's a little bit of, I don't think we did Broken China, did we? Broken China is a nice darker color. Add some more. It helps if you dry the layers too, so that you can, oops, I forgot to clean that. Dry the layers in between so that the paint has a way to sit on top of itself. Now this is, since this is water-based, it's going to, if you get it wet, like if you're doing this for a background in an art journal, just be aware that it could very well reactivate if you add something else wet to the top of it. Like if you add gesso on top of it, that could cause it to mix in and reactivate. So just be aware of that when you're playing. That might be what you want it to do, but it can cause the colors to move around, and that could be a different effect than what you want. Okay, so that's a pretty neat background. I think, let me dry it here really quick. I don't know, it might take a little while to dry. There's a lot of layers of paint, of ink on here. And then we can play with one with my, my reds. And some of that honey. I love that honey color. Wild honey. The fun part is that your background paper becomes another place that you can use for collage later. It becomes a collage fodder. And I actually did take one of the mini misters. You can buy a set of like 3 mini mister bottles, and I put the cracked pistachio in the little mister bottle. So there's nothing that says that you can't buy some little bottles and turn these into sprays, because like I said, they're not going to go bad. They're fine. They're just in a different format before Ranger decided to put them in sprays. And they're a little bit smaller. They're about half the size. So the price reflects that. They're a really good way to just, maybe if you want to get more than one and you don't want to buy the whole big spray, this is going to be, I would say this is almost a little more secure if you want to use it for a travel option or something. You know, just think of the different options out there for that bottle. And of course, I'll put the links for these products in all the places below the video. I'll put a link on my website that has a picture that looks similar to whatever the project is I'm doing. And it will say, you know, distress spray stain video here, and you can buy the supplies over here. So be sure to check that out at peacecraftlove.com in a little while. Not right away, because it's going to take me a little while to get the video online, and get the things linked up, but they'll be there. This one's really pretty. I like the backgrounds. It reminds me of like a forest. You know, it doesn't have to be super masculine. And did you guys see my, what I did on Tuesday, maybe? I did some distress stain. First I did inks. They're the same thing. I did distress inks and oxide inks on an embossing folder. But then, so if you ink on the embossing folder, what happens is the part that's the raised part doesn't get inked. It just goes into the grooves, depending on how you put the ink on the folder, which side you put it on. This one didn't actually get embossed, but it made a nice kind of a stamped background. This is actually spray. I think these are oxide sprays because of how they're kind of a little more muted. And so I sprayed directly onto the embossing folder, and as you can see, it got everything. It colored almost everything. Like the raised part, you know, it still got ink on it, but it created a really cool effect. So I didn't have to go back later after I did embossing on it and then go back and spray it. I just did it all at once. If you want to see that video, that's on YouTube also. I loaded that one on Tuesday. All right, so this is a nice background. This one is done. I think I might add some more later. For some reason, every time I see like these steampunk people, I think of like, oh, that would make a really good like masculine kind of card, right? So I pulled this from the store, and because it is nice. I actually, you know, Tim Holtz has this kind of stuff too. He has some ephemera that looks like this, but this is a set that you can get. It comes in a really nice case. Of course, I'd have to separate them. I have to cut them apart, but that's fine. They're cling stamps, a lot like the ones that Tim Holtz has. So I have to figure out what exactly I'm going to do with these stamps, but I really like them. So check out the store for those. They're Darkroom Door Steampunk. All right, let's do one that's a little more yellow and a little warmer, on the warmer side. Okay, let's do some spray. I'm kind of looking at my index cards because to me these are kind of, oh, that's like, I think that's tea dye. I don't have, what is that one? It might be the re-inker for one of the browns. I don't have a lot of browns. I figured out I don't have a lot of these neutral colors in my own stash. I have to really start remembering to get this stuff. So let's see if we can get kind of this gold effect again on a wider scale. Yeah, I don't have, yellow's not really my color, so I don't have a lot of yellows, but we'll just kind of see what we can get with this one. I don't really know what the other colors. It's kind of pretty with the blue oxide. What is that one? Probably. Let's try Mermaid Lagoon on here and see what happens. I said I don't really like to mix, you know, warms and cools, but sometimes you can get a really cool. This is an oxide, so we're just gonna play because I mean, let's see. I take that back. Let me go ahead and do what I said I was going to do, which is do the warms, right? Because I don't like warm colors. I tend to not want to do warms. I just have I like the cool colors. This one is probably one that I didn't take care of. This is a picked raspberry. Unfortunately, Ranger doesn't make the little bottles anymore, but oh, this one's not even open. That's good. Kitsch Flamingo. You can see how excited I was to play with it. I bought the bundle. I have one more bundle left in the store that includes all of the stuff. Give me all the things, but didn't play with it right away. So, oops. That's my least favorite thing, is unwrapping the product because it's not fun. They work really hard to make sure these products get really wrapped up. Okay. So here's some Kitsch. It's a little lighter. There you have a nice bright, you know, if I'd done more of the orange of the honey first, I'd probably have a little more red in my colors than I would have orange or yellow, but kind of fun. Let's spritz it, see what happens. Tim Holtz has a really good video. He takes about 2 hours to answer questions about distress products or the inks, the stain, and the oh, that's kind of interesting there. So go check out his video. I actually have that linked on my playlist. I have a whole playlist on YouTube for distress paints. And I don't really know what these little dots are. So yeah, go check that out. This is the modeled side of the what I would call like the watercolor side. That's the when you have cold pressed watercolor, it tends to have that rougher edge, and so that's the side of the paper that's a little rougher. So it gets a different effect. I really like how this looks when it's drying. It's really pretty. And the cool part is, now that I have this big piece of paper with these designs on it, I can just go back and cut this up into smaller sheets and make whatever I want to make. I can make artist trading cards, or I can cut it into some sort of, I can just use it as a card background. You know, there's a lot of things I can use it for. So I don't know what that is, but that's fine. It's interesting. The hard part, the thing I think I struggle with oranges and warm colors and reds, is that I feel like when I put red on a page, it just looks like blood to me. So that's why I don't really like it. I can never make red not look like blood in my view. So yeah, if you don't really like that mottled look, this is the smooth side of the paper, the watercolor paper. I don't know what the speckles are. Y'all, I don't like the speckles. Oh. It can be interesting. It's not my favorite. Okay. So that's kind of nice. It's got like a nice little cloud effect going in the background here. Most of the oranges, I think the red wasn't really very wet when I started mopping. Like if I wanted to add a little more red, I could add maybe even a little bit of kitsch. If you spray very gently, it doesn't really create as much of a spray look. And it's just a matter of playing with it. Take an afternoon and say, I'm just going to play with my colors today. What can I get? What kind of effect can I get from just spraying? And remember to leave white space. I always forget that part. I forget the white space. Just play with a couple of what they call analogous colors, that are the ones that are right next to each other, or just different, just really close to each other on the color wheel, right? Maybe it's only one step removed from that color. Don't be afraid to spray some water on it. Don't be afraid to mop it up with another color or another piece of paper, right? It's all fair game. All right, so that's kind of the oranges. Let me do a couple more tags because there's so much ink here. Why would we want to let any ink go to waste? We don't. Okay. And the ink is absorbed differently on different kinds of paper. This is Dina Wakley tags, and they're made with mixed media paper, which is what Ranger calls the paper that's not watercolor, but it's supposed to be able to absorb or handle media a little more. Okay, I did 1 month, a couple months ago, I did yellow and I did red. I haven't done orange yet as my color. But I do believe that for the Mixed Media Menagerie this month, the color scheme is the warm colors. So go check that out on Instagram if you haven't already. Mixed Media Menagerie hashtag. And I have some info about it on my page too. This can be used as a card background. You can use this. I like to take little slivers of cards I've already made, and I like to use them to stamp on for sentiment in a card. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. Totally, you can't see the wild honey anymore, but it's still there. Fossilized amber is also a nice one. Okay, so there's some orange, there's some warm colors. And you know, I've been working for roughly 30 minutes here, and I've already got like 5 two different color backgrounds, large sheets, and then the smaller ones. So it doesn't take very long to make some backgrounds. You could batch make them and then have them ready for whatever project you want to work on. All right, let's do one more, because I really want to do the honey with the blue, like I did on those index cards. But this time I'm going to use oxide. Here's the salvage patina oxide. I have so many more of these. And no, I can't really tell you why. Although when I did greens 1 month, I pretty much grabbed all the oxides. So I think like this one, Twisted Citron, is a very yellowy green. It might actually look good with the honey. We'll find out here in a minute. Remember, these are oxides, so we're gonna see what happens when this is a sneak peek for probably what's gonna be like next weekend, next Friday's full time. We'll do oxides next weekend, but next Friday. But I'm gonna do a little beginner thing here. Let's see. Green, sorry. There's a little green. Let's do a little mermaid. Ooh, that's what happens when your sprayer is kind of gunked. You get a nice halo look. My sprayer is gunked up. I have to wash that out. Ugh. Yeah, ready? This is speckled egg. Speckled egg's very light. I have to go wash that out. Speckled egg's almost like a gray blue. Okay, this is a stain, so you can get an idea of the difference in the All right, all right. The other thing you can do is you can just grab like an old page of a book. To mop up some of that color. All right. So you can kind of see the cloudiness that happens with the oxide. That's the oxide difference there. How it's definitely more cloudy with the water. Now let's see what happens when we spray a little bit of honey on here. What kind of effect do we get here? Maybe mud, I don't know. I just loved so much what it did on that other one that I thought it was so cool. Full strength and a little bit more muted because there's no white to absorb it. But it creates a really cool effect. I like it. It's a weird color, but I like it. It gives me that sort of just old world look to me. It's what it looks like to me. Yeah, be careful about mopping stuff up because you might end up taking away the really cool effect. As I learned. That's okay, right? We learn together. Not everything's perfect. Just kind of let it sit there and yeah, like I said, try not to get too excited. This looks pretty neat, actually. If you let it sit and it kind of gets the veins in there, that's a pretty cool effect. Yeah. So there you go. That's kind of what the honey looks like on top of, not kind of, that is what the honey looks like if you spray it. So around here where the yellow in the honey mixed in with some of the blues and the greens, you can see it creates a really cool effect. This is pure honey here on the top of the oxide sprays, and the oxides kind of come to the surface, so that's a nice effect too. I like the look of an old wall. I need to get more of my neutrals. We may be looking at neutral colors in the month of July because I really like them. I like this vintagey look, but I can't really do it because I don't have the right colors to do it right now. In my stash at home, I have all of them at the store. I have like every color of Distress Oxide Spray, every color of Distress Stain. I have it either in a dabber or a spray bottle. I have almost every color. I even have Picket Fence, which has been hard to find. It's white, but I have that in in the store in dabber form. So I love the hickory smoke. I'm just gonna screw all this up, but that's okay. I need to play with hickory smoke. It's so funny because the other day I really thought I was spraying black and it was hickory smoke, which is gray. But I've heard frayed burlap is a really cool color that creates some really interesting look. So check that one out too. I heard that from Tim Holtz. He said that. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget, like and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified every single time that I post, which is each week. I share my Facebook Live and my Instagram Lives onto YouTube. So I'm trying to share all the stuff that I'm learning about and share it with you. And if there's anything that you want to learn, just drop me a comment or send me a message, and I will be happy to make that the focus of one of my future lives, either on Instagram or Facebook. And if you want to join to find out when I'm going to go live, which is Tuesday and Friday, pretty much at 9:30 every time. But if you want to get a notification, just join my notification email list. There's a link. I'll put the link below this video so that you can join that and be notified. All right, Tuesday and Friday, 9:30 on Instagram or Facebook. So thank you so much, and have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend.